Welcome to the Millennial Life Coaches podcast. At MLC, our mission is simple: add value to help you take on massive action towards your life goals. Here, we feature amazing coaches from all over the world, share compelling stories, and discuss proven practices to help keep your energy high and in the flow. Learn more about MLC at millenniallifecoaches.com.
Hello and welcome to another episode of How to Get Ahead with Millennial Life Coaches. I am your host, Tanya, and today I am joined by the incredible Ayeesha. Now, she is a wellness and leadership coach as well as a being profiler, and I am so excited to dive into all that means. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So nice to have you here. Let's just kick it off. Let's start with the being profile because my brain is just stuck there for right now. What does this mean?
What does this mean? So
Tell me everything.
The being profile is an ontological assessment tool which assesses how you are being in this world and who you are being in this world. So it picks up on primary ways of being human, secondary ways of being human, the different moods we have as human beings, and then the factors that affect those moods. And the algorithm is kind of analyzing your relationship with yourself.
Oh, interesting.
And so it leads more into a lot more awareness.
Okay.
And as you become more aware, and everyone's different, if you're willing to dig that deep, how we talk about and frame those conversations and how I help you dig deeper, ask the questions that you wanted to bury maybe 5 years ago, didn't want to think about it then. Well, maybe it's time now. And and in my training, what they lead with is everyone is perfectly flawed.
Mm.
This world is an interesting place. We all have flaws. It's fine. But how we work on those flaws and how we see the shadows from the flaws and what we want to lean in towards helps us be human. Because we're all being human, and how we are being human and who we are being is why I really loved this tool, because it's all about being human. I don't like being labeled, ENFJ, ISTJ, I think. I think that's what it is. I don't remember exactly. Or, the different, some of the other tools have specific labels. And I'm like, I don't like labels. This is not a label. This is just who you're being and the health of certain things that, are scary sometimes or are okay. But coming to that point where we say, yeah, it's okay if I have some anxiety on some days and some days I'm amazing, and it goes up and down, this is what life is, and that's okay. But I think it's just also that self-acceptance that comes with the tool.
I love that.
But this is why I really like working with the tool and why I'm pursuing the accreditation.
Yes. So it's like an assessment basically that someone can take to get a gauge as to where they're at, how they're being, how they're showing up. Am I understanding that? Fantastic.
You are.
So then let's say I take this assessment.
Yep.
Do I get kind of like a document or something that shares a little, or do I need to work with a coach to break down what it all means?
So what happens is that you would take the assessment, and then in your initial debrief, which would be with me, I then show you your scores in the debrief. So I don't give you your scores right away, because we all have a tendency to get stuck to the numbers. We don't want that. I'm there to kind of, say, okay, how does this resonate? What comes up? Because you're seeing a number for fear, for anxiety, for awareness, commitment, love, responsibility, freedom. These all come up in the assessments as primary ways of being, secondary ways. We talk about that in the debrief, in the initial debrief, and then we set up, some appointments afterwards to kind of really go through each way of being primary and secondary and what your goals are, and how I ask you the questions to dig a bit deep, because at the end of the day, it's a lot more awareness about you and how you want to improve in your relationships or how you want to improve at work. or at home, or, you know, we all walk in different worlds. So what are your goals for yourself when we go through that?
Fantastic. So you said primary and secondary ways of being. What's the difference? Is one more like the shadow self?
The shadow self, and right away you can see how someone communicates, you can see how somebody might react. And then, you attach ways of being primarily because it's more there on a daily basis
Okay.
versus the secondary, which are more shadows, but sometimes those are factors that we want to talk about, but we want a safe space.
Mm,
It's you're really digging deep, you're really getting more into that self-awareness that's opening you up
I love this.
to really be more authentic. And then authenticity is another way of being, obviously. And so it gives you your health score there as well.
Oh, I love this.
So
So it
it's
gives
a
you
powerful tool.
so it's like a beautiful snapshot of who I am in this moment.
Exactly.
Does it shift? So say I take the test now, I work with you, we work on my wellness, on my leadership, and then 6 months from now I take it again. Can those results alter?
Yeah, they can. And what you said 6 months, that's exactly how far apart you
Okay.
need. Perfect. And yeah, so that shift that you're experiencing, does that show up in 6 months? If it does, you're doing the work.
Oh,
And
so
the
cool.
work is different for everyone, obviously, right? Uh, when it comes to awareness and what we want to admit about ourselves, and then how that really changes in reality. Because for me, it's different things, but the more you're aware you are of whether it's your flaws, your shadows, or okay, I'm strong in this area, maybe I should tone down a bit here, but lean in towards the other side. You
Mm.
notice the shifts in your energy, the shifts in how you communicate. A lot of different things can come up depending on the
That's
person.
really incredible.
MLC's community and network is built on integrity and value, and it really does help people succeed and get in front of the right people. And so with everything that I've experienced with MLC, all the work that I've done with them, alongside them, and the things that I have seen MLC do, I know that there is incredible power and potential in this platform and this community, and I can't wait to see it continue to grow. So far, it's been an absolute pleasure to be part of the community and to receive just the incredible support and resources that MLC provides.
So as people progress and they use this, obviously you take the assessment, you do the time with you. What are kind of how does it work from there on out? Because I guess I hit the nail on the head with the 6 months,
Yeah,
but is
you
it like
did.
a 6 month program that they went kind of go start working with where we can work on the overall shifting of where I am to where I want to be?
So usually it's a 3-month program.
Okay.
Because when you take your assessment, you got your initial debrief, then you have your follow-ups and your appointments. But because of the way life is, twice a month, 3 times a month potentially, we go through your ways of being and what you want to work on, the awareness piece, your goals, and you do want to give enough time in between, obviously. What conversations are you having with your own therapist, with your own friends, with your partners, with your colleagues? So you can really see the shift. That you do want to give enough time. So 3 months at a time, I would say,
Okay.
because time we all know is very precious
Hmm.
and it's our biggest asset. So we do want to use it properly, but I want to give you enough time to work on those conversations and how you want to work on yourself. Do you have other tools, you know, to work on yourself? Because creative expression is also a way of being. What do you do anything creatively to open that up?
Love
So
that.
different conversations to have.
And how do you tie this into the wellness and the leadership coaching side?
So the one thing with leadership is how do you lead yourself,
Mm.
whether it's at work, in your daily life, um, socially, do you volunteer? Where do you see yourself improving for yourself so you can show up better for that team member or your team at work or how you work with others. That's the leadership piece. And when I bring in the wellness, it's more your habits, whether it's, your morning routine, your evening routine. What are you eating? Because everything we're ingesting does affect us. And yes, we all want to treat ourselves. We would like to have cake for breakfast once in a while. I've done it. It feels really good, but you want to balance. So
Mhm.
I'm there to coach you through those habits with balancing those habits, leading yourself more effectively. So you are being the human that you want to be. So you're more authentic
Love that.
and bringing this all together.
So if someone, our listeners are out there, they're listening, they're like, I don't really know how I'm being, but I think I'm being this way. And I know I want to shift some of my habits. Maybe I've got a health goal or a finance goal or a love goal. What kind of tips, suggestions, ideas can you give them where they can kind of start taking a step forward without maybe committing to the assessment just yet?
I would say I'm a big believer in journaling, but I
Mm.
know not everyone wants a pen and a paper. So even if it's on your phone and you text yourself, have a date in mind because you want to be measurable. If we go
Mhm.
back to the concept of SMART goals, write down today's date, write down your ideal date. And I don't mean within a week. I mean like maybe at least 30 to 45 days out. And in that time frame, really observe your habits, but very small. And small steps are better, my apologies, than a really big leap. We want to take that big leap, but there are small steps that you can take. So if you're having way more coffee than water in a day, which is not that good because you're dehydrating a lot when you drink the coffee, when you wake up in the morning, say, I will take 1 glass of room temperature water before I do anything, at least one. And after my dinner, I'll have another glass of water. But, normally before and after a meal, it is good to have water. With a meal, a warm drink. Have your coffee after you're done your breakfast. So it's not too hard on your stomach, because if you do it on an empty stomach, it can be hard. Stomach acid, if you add dairy. So not whether you write it down or you log it in an app, it's up to you. But those small steps, whether it's in the morning, I will do this, or after my lunch, I will take like a 5-minute walk around the office, or I'll take an extra long route around the office. And if you're driving your car, you need to park to go to Walmart or wherever, park farther away if you can. Take some extra steps. And if you're in your car, don't look at your phone. I know it's a very busy world. We're all distracted. Put your phone away, in your purse at the back seat. That's what I do. And focus on the road. Focus on a really good song
Mhm.
from the 80s, the 90s. Everyone loves listening to the old music. That can be your well-being moment for the day. Your
Mhm.
self-care. More music. Listen to a book while you're reading. If you don't want to hear music or you don't want to hear the news. Hey, we all have different tastes, but for self-care moments or self-care goals, or even, wanting to eat better or get more movement, these are all small changes that do matter. Because one of my coaches said every moment matters. And I remember I had a lot of errands, but I made it a point to park away further. I carried everything, went back and forth, and I'm like, I just did a workout. And he's like, yeah, you probably did. So those little moments do make a difference. If you didn't want to do the assessment, this is how you can do it. And whether you take a pen and paper, you take an app on your phone, or you WhatsApp yourself,
Mm.
you know, write it down.
I love that idea of like voice to text and using it as
Yeah,
journal entries.
yeah.
That's never crossed my mind before. I love this.
No problem.
I'm gonna steal that.
Sure.
Um, because I own my journaling skills. That's the one thing that I do let slide a lot. And I'm like
Oh,
that I need an
awesome.
easier way.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so noticing what we're doing and then paying attention to our habits so we can start stacking them.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. And then once I've kind of noticed my tendencies, my traits, that's when it's a good idea to kind of start looking at, well, how am I being? How am I showing up?
Exactly. Like I think for me in my own personal experience, when I wasn't showing up that good, I did notice that I was going more towards the carb-based snacks in between my meals. But then the
Mm.
more I shifted towards more protein or more water, I was more alert. I was more focused. And I remember during the pandemic when I focused more on my health and working out more, I was a lot more productive
Mm.
at my job. So the way we do take care of ourselves does show up.
Kind of that how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Exactly.
I love that. Okay. So then as we're going through the assessment, do we and maybe this is too much or I don't just let me know. But is there a moment where we start looking at like, okay, so here's where I am now, my point A, what is my point B or where I'm headed to kind of establish those goals of what I want to shift?
If I'm understanding your question correctly, and let me know if I'm not. When you're in the assessment, it's just straight through,
Okay.
agree, disagree, like that. It's when I look at the assessment with you,
Hmm.
where I'm like, okay, so what is a goal that you would have in mind when it comes to responsibility or freedom or fear or anxiety? Different things that can come up. Commitment. Commitment is not just about somebody else or your job, it's about yourself too.
It is.
Commit to taking care of yourself, commit to more self-love, self-awareness. And the more you commit to that, it comes out, whether it's your partner, whether it's at work, in your daily social activities, it does show up. I just can't tell you when, but the more you do commit to you alone, just you, like in an airplane, they say put the oxygen mask on yourself first, then do it for somebody else. And I'm not saying it's easy. It's not. But the more you do focus on yourself, it flows naturally and you can change. Anyone can change. It's just about the commitment and the choice.
So when you did the assessment the first time, how did you find it?
Oh
Because I'm
man.
assuming to do this, you have to have done it.
Oh yes. No, that's what opened me up to this. It it was tricky, there were questions on there which I felt were repeated, but I'm like, wait, I'm overthinking this. It's just a question. It's just a statement. And so I've caught myself overthinking a lot more after
Mm.
doing the assessment as a result. That's the biggest thing I've wanted to stop doing. And in the assessment is when I stopped it. I'm like, stop overthinking, move on to the next question, go back, respond, and don't second guess myself. It's tricky. It feels weird, but I was really happy I did it and I realized this is what I need to change, to be better, or be that version of myself that I'm looking for. We all have the teenage version of ourselves. We had the young adult version. And it takes time to grow. But when I did it, I'll admit, I'm like, wow. I'm like, I'm finally admitting that. I want to help
Mm.
other people admit that. I want to empower people to realize that you can do it. Yeah, it takes time. I know it takes patience, but these qualities are only going to help you.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, and anything in life worth having takes time and patience, right?
Oh, yes, I agree.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so with your clients and how the people that you've seen go through all this process, whether it be the wellness, the leadership, or the assessment, what kind of transformations or changes have you seen that have really stood out?
It really depends on the person. I think it also really depends on what you've got going on in your life.
Mm.
You know, I a couple of more younger people, like in their 30s, have done this, and I had one client whose secondary ways of being more than half of them were at 0. And I remember I asked her, I'm like, did you respond neutral to a lot? She's like, I did. I'm like, okay, that's fine. No big deal. And I remember in our debrief, I'm like, you have buried a bit, right? And she's like, yeah, I have. I'm like, that's fine. I'm like, no one's telling you to deal with everything at once. But I could see, this is somebody who is just trying to pick the right time to work on herself.
Mhm.
And then you have another one's around the same age, and she's just like, but I want it to be perfect. I'm like, but you're perfectly flawed. Being perfectly unflawed that's unreal. I'm like, you deal with things every day. And so in terms of transformation, it's just the fact that I had somebody say, yeah, I'm neutral. Yeah, I buried. I want to work on it. And just I get tired. I'm like, I hear you.
There's
We
a
all get
level. Oh,
we
sorry.
all get tired. No, sorry, we all get tired of working on ourselves. I know.
But it sounds like there's a level of accountability that comes up by digging this deep and getting so crystal clear on where you're at.
Accountability is scary.
It can be, yeah.
It can be very scary. But I feel like when we use the word adulting so much, I'm like, well, adulting really is considered accountability to a degree. And no one is saying it's easy. And nobody's saying that they love it at times either. But it's very freeing. And it can be very freeing depending on who you are, depending on what you've got going on. Transformation, who I am today, in 2020, I was not this person. I was totally different. I had a different life. I had totally different things going on. What I see today, I'm like, this is transformation. At the same time, what life gave me to handle, I could have easily said, no, I'm not changing.
Mm.
But I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's time to just go with the flow one day at a time. And here I am today, totally different. So it really depends on your mindset, the mind shift, the perspective, because we'd have such a multi-generational world, and each generation is really experiencing things differently. And there are a lot of different things now, and we want to respect it. At the same time, we want to respect each other's transformation and how we're all different. It's a good thing. It can be, some people say it's a bad thing, but at the end of the day, we're all being human.
I love
That's
that.
a common thing we all have.
And I love this being thought because I've heard this said so many times and it just is such a powerful, profound thing where it says we're not humans doing, we're human beings. And I think we forget that we are actually always in a state of being because we're so busy on the doing and the how it's going to happen that it prevents us from really resting in what it sounds like a lot of what you're able to help people with.
Yeah, exactly. We are so focused on the doing. We're so focused on the go, go, go. Is it done? Can I move on? Okay, be in that moment. Don't just do, but be in that doing moment and really see yourself and see the awareness, the accountability we just talked about. And, ask yourself, okay, I need to breathe. I'm allowed to slow down. And I mean, I have a sister company called Umsra, and this is what we talk about there a lot. And that's why we made it so that, we each have our own thing, but we made Umsra our sister company where we say slow down, come back to your body, not just your mind, but your body, and be human and be in that moment. It's really important.
How, or what are ways that you've seen that are really good, other than the breath that we kind of just touched on, to actually just come back and be in that moment for those kind of, this might be a new concept.
When I mentioned about, if you're in your car or you're commuting. I firmly believe music is so powerful.
Mm.
And if it's a song that brings you back to a really good moment, put that song on and just be in that song and feel it. And you're being human. You're in that doing moment of you're commuting, but you're being in that commute with that song. Or if you're with your friends, take a group selfie. Why not? Make sure you take that group selfie. Be in that moment. Post it on Instagram, post it wherever you want, doesn't matter. But be together, let go of everything, all the noise in our world, and be with your friends and be in that moment. And if you're just at home and you're tired of cooking, I'm sure you got something saved. Order a pizza. Why
Just
not?
allow.
Just allow yourself to do it. We're all allowed to treat ourselves. With my mom the other night, I'm like, Mom, I just want to order. I'm tired. She's like, go ahead. And, I did it and I was glad. I'm like, yeah, I needed a break.
Mm.
Everyone is allowed a break. And when you're doing that much and you're like tired, then sit down with, whether if you drink or not, I don't know, but sit down with something, whether it's a warm cup of tea or even just warm water. It's
Mhm.
really good for you. Just enjoy the water or enjoy that can of Coke or whatever it is, or that snack. Like, just enjoy the taste and really be there. Because, like you said, we're all busy doing, but be there. And these are different ways you can do it.
I love that. Okay, so for our listeners out there that are like, okay, I need this, I want to take this assessment, I want to know where I'm at, I'd like to talk to you, learn more, where can they find you? Where can they get a hold of you?
So, my website is ayeeshak.com. And usually there's a contact form on there, and they can send an email, and we can set them up with the directions, and they'll be told where to book. There's some automations that I'm still working on, but emails are so common anyway. But this is the quickest way I can do it. Or they can find me on LinkedIn as well, or on the Millennial Life Coaches website, and they can contact me there.
Fantastic. And we'll make sure we get all that. So it'll be in the show notes below as well. So be an
Sure.
easy link for everyone listening. Oh, this has been so interesting. I'm loving every minute of it. But we are kind of at that time. So is there any advice, tips, wisdom, anything you would like to leave our listeners with?
I want our listeners to know that if you don't want to do something, say no. We
Mm,
don't say no enough. I know everyone is used to saying yes, but really, if it's not going to serve you, if you don't think it's a good use of your time, or you just need your energy for yourself, it's okay to say no. Make time for yourself, please.
I love
Biggest thing I
that.
can leave everyone with.
That is so profound. I don't even know how we would end it any better than that. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today and being on the show.
Thank
It has
you.
been a pleasure getting to know you.
Thank you. Yeah, you too.
This has been another episode of How to Get Ahead with Millennial Life Coaches, and we will see you on the next one.